Magnificent bastard, I read you.
Captain.
No. Of course you realize this means war.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lesson. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, always spelled with a K, a mere 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast of the Bill Mill, the belly of the beast where the Capitol building resides in downtown Sacramento at 10th and L Streets, where late at night you can hear the death of common sense and its concomitant wail as it wafts from that petrifying edifice. And late at night, when I exit the plush, resplendent, sumptuous, palatial, and effulgently bulbous SHR Media Network studios, I'll be smelling the odoriferous stench of sulfur, brimstone, and evil emanating from that mentally destitute columned structure aforementioned. And of course, Lockjaw is going to be your bartender tonight. He pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is in fact lighted to my right, your left. It's back on again. shrmedia.com. You can also watch the show on the SHR Media YouTube channel and also the media Facebook page. And also I'm trying something new, Twitch, tonight. I got to tell you this, we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law, we talk about it all right here at the Saloon. Nothing is sacred, the speech is free, but the booze is not. All we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, and don't forget to tip your waitress. Well, that's a story in and of itself now these days, isn't it? You bet it is. You're looking at experimental radio right here. And after the break at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to tell you why this is experimental radio. Just can't do it quite yet. Okay, it looks something like this. I am actually back in the studio. And no, at first I said, it wasn't because of coronavirus. But there was more to the story than that, wasn't there? Oh my gosh, look at that. Jack is in chat. Jack's going to be on the air here in just a second. The Alaskan is here. Thanks, Alaskan. Thanks to Jack. Thanks to Dave Milner for being here tonight. And thanks to one viewer who will not be unmasked because that's not what we do here. Well, I'm back in the studio. And so people may be wondering, okay, my last show was, and I'm going to say a day. It's going to seem to you and me like it was so far ago, so far away, so many days ago, almost like another time, another era. We're going to talk about that too. Ladies and gentlemen, everything has changed. Everything that we knew, everything that we thought we knew has changed. I've changed. You've changed. The thing that isn't changing is I'm not wearing a mask, and I'm not wearing gloves. Back at the ranch. But wait, there's more. Okay, I got to show you this. In the meantime, a whole bunch of stuff has happened, obviously, and I'm going to take this off. For those who may not remember times before, and his name is Alan Thomas. Well, Alan Thomas happened to send this to me in the mail. And for those of you who are just listening at audio only at shrmedia.com, and thanks for being in the chat room, if you can't see, it is a scarf sent to me by Alan Thomas, and it's black in color, a long scarf like you'd wear in the winter, and it says Trump, 45th President. And at the end of this, I'm showing you, on one side, at the end of the scarf, it says, Make America Great Again. And it says the same thing at the other end of the scarf. So, Alan Thomas, thank you. And I wanted to make sure that I showed this to you, because if I wear it, this part goes around my neck, and you can't see it. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I can wear it. Let me see. Maybe I can wear it this way so that it can be seen. Let me throw this over my shoulder. There we go. At least you can see part of that now. And I thank everyone for everything has changed. This show's going to have to change. Our world has changed. I'm hoping to get back, and like everything else that's been going on in our lives, this is going to be tenuous. I'm going to, all our restrictions, air quotes, our restrictions may be lifted. And Jack in Chat says audio macrame. Yeah, so you can at least see the name. But I'm going to have to take the show on a week-by-week basis. Just nobody knows where this is going. I mean, we may think we know. Everything we thought we knew about the world has changed. It's not for the better. And I will submit to most of us, does it not seem, it is not one of the first things now is, I'm living a movie. I'm in a movie. I'm not just watching the movie. This is an actual experiential movie in progress, and I'm part of it. Just when we thought, well, this stuff can't happen to us, it's happened to us. Who were directly impacted. For a time, people were saying, I don't know anybody that's been hit by this virus. Well, I know someone who's been hit by this virus. So from this point out, everything that I say on every show is predicated but upon, I am not a denier. I know that it's here. I recognize that it can kill people and has. From that point on, from that statement on, everything is essentially up for bid. I'm not one to promulgate conspiracy theories, but as we recognize, this thing has changed and mutated, and not just the virus. The whole experience changes and mutates, not apparently just with the week, but now it's changing with the day. And from now until we get back to some semblance of normality, whatever that may be, however we may recognize it or choose to recognize it, I'm going to be doing my best on this show to be a reflection of how this is impacting not just me, but yourself and all the guests that I'm going to be having in the show. And I have a guest here tonight. I hope he's still here. I have Jack Alexander from Australia on right now, I hope. Jack, do you have her?
I must be spending too much time in quarantine all alone. I'm hearing voices. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre.
How you doing, BZ?
Well, we're taking it day by day, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, the erosion of liberty has started.
There are... Okay, what I'd like to do tonight, since this is my first time back, is I've got, as you would expect, you would expect this of BZ. I have an assload of things to discuss, of audio cuts to play, of stories to talk about. And I hope tonight to be able to get through some of them. And since I have Jack on, he's on one channel, and I have another channel open for phone calls. If folks you're interested in calling a little bit later, that's going to be after the first break, because I want to go through a couple of things right now. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine, if we can. Folks, if you don't understand anything right now on what the Democrats, what I call the Democrats, and what I term the American media maggots, if you haven't grokked that concept and the linkage between the two, and how the American media maggots exist to do nothing but attempt to destroy President Trump, I'm hoping that the revelations that you've seen... Okay, one of the first things that you're going to hear, I'm going to go back to President Trump's briefing, not today. Today is Tuesday. It's April 14th, the year of our Lord, 2020. But I want to go back one day to Monday, and I'm going to play a good portion of yesterday's presidential briefing, because I want you to understand what's really happening in the United States. And if there is a molecule of respect left for the American media maggots today, there really shouldn't. There are literally only a handful of actual journalists left in the United States. I can't even address Australia. I can't address the UK. I can't address the rest of Europe. But I know for a fact journalism is predominantly dead in the United States of America. And after yesterday, let's just say President Trump handed the American media maggots their ass. And he beat them badly, like a big bass drum, on any number of fronts. And the reason they're so pissed is because he beat them at their own game. We'll hear that audio cut. But folks, if you are not yet awake, I'm going to play something from President Trump one night before the election. And we discover more and more day by day that what this individual has said was prescient. Now, knowing what we know today versus November 7th of 2016, let's do this comparison. Because this is the night, this is about 5 minutes of President Trump speaking before the election. Listen to his words then, compare it to now, and then I think you'll definitely say a whole lot of things now make sense.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization. that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities.
And
this is
frequently they are one and the
for
same.
the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
You have to understand that the American media maggots are in league with anything and everything against President Trump. And that means that if they're in league with President Trump, they are working against me and you. Jack Alexander, you have an investment in America. So the reason I enjoy speaking to you is because, yeah, you happen to be in Australia right now. By the way, first. Again, forgive my manners. Jack Alexander, tell people where they can hear you, find you, and tell folks about your show.
They can catch me via my website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com. And Monday to Thursdays, I am posting just short snippets of the show with all the problems that are going on at the moment. It's just easier to do the short snippets, and you can find those both on the Jack Alexander Experiment pages on Facebook and YouTube.
So you're there, Monday through Friday for a minimum of an hour, is that correct?
No, they're basically shorts, Monday to Thursday.
Okay.
I was trying to do a Friday thing where I'd get people to send in video questions and I'd respond to it, but everyone seems to be so shy. So just Monday to Thursday, 15 minutes to 20-minute spots that I'm recording and posting up. I've got at the moment I've got a pre-record it all because I'm not allowed to live stream on Facebook and YouTube, so I'm pre-recording everything.
Okay. And let me guess, it's because they're absolutely that is to say the social media, Facebook and YouTube, they must be clearly overjoyed with your content.
Oh, look, I've had a long-running battle over the last, 3 weeks I've been doing this now in this shortened form with Facebook nuking my videos under the claim of fake news, and then I send them my research where I got the stories from. And it's from, the big liberal the big liberal tropes out there, like the New York Times and so on. I said, look, here's the story in the New York Times. Here it is covered by CNN. How can you say it's fake news? This is where I got the story from. And, and again, I've won every one of these protests that I've got, but it's killing my viewership numbers and reach. And I think it's being done deliberately to shut down independent media like your show, like my show, like many other small independent media outlets out there. Because we are the only ones that are breaking down the truth and pointing out the contradictions that is so prevalent in the information that is coming out.
I'd like to make something. I've had a month, and again, I'll go into an explanation about what happened, where I've been, blah, blah, blah. But I've had over a month and a half, almost 2 months to think about what's occurring right now. And then as I attempted to wrap my head around today's America, then we were hit by Wuhan 19, otherwise known as the Kung Flu. And fuck anybody else that thinks that happens to be racist, because China, without a doubt, is the most xenophobic, racist country on the entire planet. Make no mistake. But when President Trump said this is a war, folks, I want to let you know, and this is my philosophy from here on out. I agree. It's a war. He's a wartime president, but he's fighting a war on one front, and I think he's fighting a bit of a war on a second front. I'd like your thoughts on that. But I'm fighting a war on two fronts. I'm fighting a war on the coronavirus, and I'm going to be attempting to do the best to present as much information to everybody here from this point out. And I want to present all views. The other war I'm fighting is I'm done with being nice. I'm done with being conciliatory. I'm done with bipartisanship. I'm done with compromise. Now that we see the true, what I call the LDAM, the leftists, the Democrats, and the American media maggots, all working in concert to defeat Trump, which means they want to defeat me and you. I am in a war with leftists, and I am in a war with Democrats, and I am in a war with the American media maggots. Do not doubt, folks, that as Kurt Schlichter himself has said on this show a number of times, they hate you. And they wouldn't mind seeing you dead, gone. Now, we know that Boris Johnson got infected with the coronavirus. And for a time, I was seriously concerned about Boris Johnson. He went into the ICU. Well, if you were watching social media, what you also discovered is that many accounts that were not expunged, because I went there back and forth any number of times, were saying, why can't we have President Trump contract the coronavirus and die? Make no mistake, folks, if they want him dead, they want you dead. You're in their way. He's in their way. We are in their way. So from here on out, my attempt to be bipartisan, that ship has sailed. That shit has flown. I'm not going back to that again, because now, folks, you and I know that the threshold isn't, well, I got called a couple of mean words, or, yeah, you're a snowflake. No. The difference now between winning and losing, literally, is now life and death. And who has made it that way? They have made it that way. I'll be right back after this break.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunetz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunetz.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty voided Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the returned Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I am BZ, I am the bulbous one. Bulbous BZ, the bloviating Zeppelino. You can follow me on Twitter at BZEP at BZEP. You can like me and follow me on my Facebook page. Go to shrmedia.com if you want to listen to the show on audio. And if you want to watch it on video, I got to figure out this whole Twitch thing. You can watch the show live right now on the SHR Media Facebook page. And you know how to get there on Facebook. And also, SHR Media has a YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, put in SHR Media, and you'll be able to find us right now. Doing 2 videos right now. And I'm also running a video on Twitch, which is a brand new thing with Sean. And so, let's... Dave Milner said... Well, Dave Milner is talking about working out on chat. And again, let me stop right here. Jack, thank you for being here tonight. This is a time that I need to appreciate the people that are special in my life. And I'm not talking about Yellow Bus special. I'm talking about everybody getting together and making sure that we support each other during these times. These times are tough. These are not like World War II times when you're waiting for a bomb to fall on your house. It's not like we're sitting quivering in Israel like they do every day, waiting for a rocket to explode. But I want to point out this thing, and then I'd like your comments and thoughts back. I'm especially appreciative now because I would assume that this situation that the world is in, courtesy of China, has made many of us dial back. It's forcefully made many of us dial back what we've done in the past and make us examine, if nothing else, it calls for some introspection and self-awareness and self-examination. I would expect that that's probably going on with everyone, as it's certainly going on with me. Which makes me, as I said, I'm very appreciative of my friends, my acquaintances, and particularly those who listen to me. So, seriously, Jack, my thanks to you for being here.
Look, you're most very welcome. Look, I don't know about the introspection thing, at least at my end. I think I had that going back when I had some post-military health crises and my motorcycle accident. But, given that I like you, I fit into the high-risk category for this because I'm immunocompromised because I had a couple of fights with cancer. thank the good Lord above, I won them. But it's left me in an immunocompromised state. But the whole Wuhan flu thing, I've never been worried about. Mostly because, well, look, in my military career, I was trained as a medic. After the military, I studied natural medicine. While I no longer practice, I had at least I could read the the medical reports and the journals, and I could see the medical I understood the medical doublespeak that a lot of the media is ignoring. To drum this up, and look, all respiratory illnesses are going to kill someone, and they just about every illness out there will automatically target the elderly, the immunocompromised, and the very young, because they haven't yet developed an immunization system. And I'm sort of to the point now, well, look, if this is my time, this is my time. Would it be sad for the family? Yes, but my family has had to deal with enough of my life-threatening problems over the years, and, with the possibility when I was in the military of losing me that way. So, I refused to, and as a family, we have refused to give in to the fear. I will have family members, they will read a story and and bring it to me, and I said, no, this is where it is. And what this crisis has shown, and what has been growing over the ever increasing seriousness, according to the media, of these viral crises. I mean, we've had, 5 posted pandemics in the last 17 years. And this is the first one that has shut the planet down. Why has it shut the planet down? Because finally the globalists, who are basically China's bitch, within the United Nations and the World Health Organization and the parasites in the mainstream media, have finally worked out the perfect formula to screw over everyone.
Worldwide opportunity.
And the basic let's call it the misrepresentation of the truth by quoting numbers instead of per capita rates. Yes, the United States has had more deaths than, say, Italy, but the United States has a much larger population than Italy or Germany. The only countries that are likely to have, that have a larger population to the United States are countries that deliberately suppress the truth from coming out, like China. They're still playing along this idea that, we haven't had any new infections in ages. That is garbage. But with everyone in bed at the World Health Organization and the CDC with China, and I'm convinced there are elements at the Centers for Disease Control that are in bed with China on this, because of the confusing messages that have been coming out of the CDC about face masks. Do they work or don't they work? Well, if they didn't work, why is it that every healthcare professional, when they are even, doing excising an ingrown toenail, they put on a face mask so that they don't infect you or you don't necessarily infect them. The CDC has 2 contradictory pages about face masks. There's that sort of argument to it. And it just continues to, the media just picks up and takes the garbage. And here's an interesting thing that when it comes to reporting. Did you know, since the Wuhan crisis developed after the impeachment thing, there hasn't been a recorded death of influenza in countries like the United States, Britain, Australia, It's all been credited to Wuhan.
Well,
Yet the numbers for flu-related illnesses have remained basically the same.
Okay. My mind right now is going so many places, and there's so many things I want to talk about. One of the memes that I put out on, and because we don't have a Sackheads Against Tyranny show anymore, Clint is not going to be available because of his job and some other things that are going on right now. Let's just say Clint is really, really busy. So my guess is we're not going to have a chat show on Wednesdays for quite some time. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Having said that, what I've decided to do with the Sackheads Radio site on Facebook is that's meme central for coronavirus and all the stuff that I come across with regard to the Democrats, coronavirus, globalism, that kind of thing. There was a meme that I saw on there where a guy got eaten by a shark and the CDC listed his death as due to coronavirus. You know, a lot of this stuff is funny, but humor is not funny unless there's an aspect of truth to it. And what is the truth is, did you know, folks, for example, and okay, I guess you can chalk this up to Trump, but since you opened the CDC door, Jack Alexander, I'm going to walk through it. If anybody thinks that CDC doesn't have slime thrown all over them, how wrong you would be. Did you know, folks, that the CDC owns 20 patents on drugs? Were you aware of that? CDC isn't just...
I wasn't aware of that. Why?
The CDC isn't the innocent little pristine agency that you think it is. They're this strange hybrid of private and public. If you start to go look into the CDC and their background, and if people tell you they're completely government funded, they are funded by government, yes. But they also have some private fundings, and they use governmental money for various patents. They don't want you to know about that. So essentially, who's screwed? I go back and I'm looking for those responsible. The Japanese have a saying, fix the problem, not the responsibility. I say that I believe you can do two things, both of those things at once. We're in the attempt to fix the issue phase. But the CDC was part of the problem from the beginning, we will discover, along with China and the World Health Organization. So, again, this goes back to the attempt by the leftist Democrats and American media maggots to lay all of this at the feet of President Trump, who up to that point, trust me when I tell you, this caught him flat-footed like it caught everyone else, including all the assholes at the World Health Organization, that Ethiopian lying sack of shit, who is the Director General of the World Health Organization, and China. China is our enemy, folks. Let me say this again. I will say this until the day I die. China is our enemy. For those of you who just tuned in, China is our enemy. China is our enemy. China is the enemy of the United States, and China is the enemy of the planet. China is the most racist, xenophobic country on the planet, and they want to see you and me and everyone else dead. They will look at you and lie to your face. That is part of the culture. They are a racist culture, and they can learn. And what they've learned is to pay people off who become the propagandist arm of the communist Chinese. Just like the American media maggots are the propaganda arm of the Chinese communists. That's who they are now. That's why I'm at war. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, and when you look at who is suffering the most out of all of this, yes, the United States has been hit very hard. And one of the things that I've been the theories that I've been laying out on my show is that At worst, at best, this is biological terrorism on behalf of China towards the West. At worst, it is biological warfare. And I say that because I look at the countries that are being affected the most financially out of this. They are all countries that have major dealings with China. And since since Donald Trump became president and started steering the American economy away from its reliance on China and other countries and regions like the United Kingdom, Australia, the European Union, Japan, and so on, have started following suit because they saw what happened in the United States. They saw that as soon as the U.S. stopped relying so much on China, the American economy turned around almost instantaneously and started following suit. And all of these countries that are affected all have major populations of Chinese students that come into the country. And we know that at least 500,000 Chinese nationals were allowed to travel directly to the United States, knowing full well that they were potential carriers. Now, by the very definition of that, that's biological terrorism, which is listed under international law as a crime against humanity. I mean, the colleges around Melbourne are almost, on average, they're about 40% Chinese nationals, foreign students, and 35% from India and Pakistan. There's almost no university places in Australian colleges if you're an Australian wanting to go to do tertiary education. They have auctioned those educational places off to the highest bidder. And where did Corona really take hold? In the universities, after students went home for a holiday and came back. Because of the longer holidays, like in the United States, they're during the summer. It's 6 to 8 weeks during the Christmas New Year period. A lot of those students went home. What was happening in China at that time? COVID was exploding. And what do? They jumped straight back on a plane and sent them back to the United States, to Britain, to Australia, and so on, and it just swept through a lot of the colleges here, and then out into the basic the community, because the point was to infect as many places as possible and shut down these economies.
We're going to get to the end of this. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I am fairly sure of that. But it's going to be an interesting ride, and that's one of the reasons that I want everybody to continue to listen to the show, because I'm going to go on that ride with you. I'm going to be talking about all sorts of things that the rest of the American media maggots are going to profoundly ignore. Just not little bit ignore, bigly they're going to ignore this stuff. One of the first questions you have to ask, folks, is, out of all the countries in Europe, why was Italy hit so hard by the coronavirus? And I can guarantee you that you have not been told this. I will wager that a number of you listening to the show right now already are aware. But one of the major reasons that it hit Italy so hard is, have you heard, folks, of the Belt and Road Initiative? China's Belt and Road Initiative. This is China attempting to get itself and insinuate itself into a number of countries who want/need their cash, who are teetering, who are are looking for help, and in many times they don't really care who they get it from. And as far as the Chinese are concerned, that is a perfect opportunity to worm their way into also the finances of an individual country for power and control, because with China, it is absolutely about power and control. It doesn't have anything to do with largesse or the goodness of their natures. The goodness of their natures is we want to take over the world, period, end of statement. We're the Chinese communists. What part of that did you just not understand? So what occurred is Italy embraced the Belt and Road Initiative. Italy was looking for cash, and China provided the funnel and the bundles of money. So Italy turns out that it was the big first European economy to join China's it's massive, this enormous infrastructure project. It's called BRI. So, folks, if you ever happen to hear the initials BRI or the term Belt and Road Initiative, think China and think China throwing cash at a country in order to insinuate itself into that country. So Italy signed up for BRI, and Italy has had, it's had a fairly lengthy relation with China. But what really cemented it was in March of 2019, Italy signed an MOU, that's a Memorandum of Understanding with China regarding the Belt Road Initiative. So this was, China and Italy sort of had an understanding spanning decades of throwing money at Italy. So finance minister, this guy's name is Tria. He goes in August of 2018 on a little flight over to China. And so he ended up spurring the process of this going. And Italy's political class at the time sees and says to itself, this is great. We'll let them come in and give us all this cash. So this dates back to the 1980s, basically. China and Italy have been doing this kind of since the mid-1980s. So China asked in the 80s, one of the prime ministers back then, his name was Prodi, Prodi, I think. He was PM twice, I think. So China asks him to build a factory in Tianjin. Okay. So in return, the Chinese helped him, Italy, build a factory in what was then the Soviet Union. So this guy, Prodi, becomes prime minister in 97. He leads a massive trade mission to China. And now you understand why people are not talking about this, but maybe the curtains are beginning to Wuhan 19 so quickly. Well, this is the reason. So Prodi goes on a big-ass trade mission to China. He brings 100 companies, ventures in. Hope you're sitting down for this. He wants to do deals in, and he wants to do deals in food. He wants to do deals in fashion. They want to do deals in fashion. They're not so great at finance, but they throw that in there too. What else are they missing? What's the one critical element now, Jack Alexander, do you think is missing in this lovely linkage between Italy in terms of manufacturing, Italy and China? What have I not talked about?
The drug manufacture?
Well, wait a minute. I just got back into the saloon. Where's my bell? Then to you, Jack Alexander, because that's exactly what it was. They relinquished whatever pharmaceuticals they had. You have a factory in China. What was one of the major requisites if you put that answer? What does China demand of anybody that has a factory in China?
Oh, you've got to show absolute, complete and utter support for China.
Right.
And the way and the Chinese government in recognition of the Dalai Lama or Taiwan or man-made islands that China's making to try and extend their sphere of influence in Southern Asia. It's you do not talk ill about China. It's almost like Fight Club.
That's a good analogy. I like that. By the way, for those who were just tuning in, here's my bottle of Clorox cleaner and bleach here. You can't smell this. If you had smell-o-vision right now, you would see that my hands and the microphone and everything here is. They want your proprietary technology. If you deal with China, they want everything you got. And unless you give them everything you got, shipping the shaking of the hand with you anymore, with your country. Okay, so what also happened, company, because Italy's doing this deal. So this Chinese shipping company bought a controlling stake in the Greek port of Piraeus in 2016. And so they've gotten into Italy, and they've gotten into Greece. And so what is that? That's a more mega important hub for China. So what do we also know about China? China has a great maritime transport business, and that's a very, very important part of the BRI, which is the Belt Road for China to inculcate itself inside your country. And I've got much more information about this. I'm going to have to go to a break. For those of you who were wondering, I don't get it. What the hell does Italy, of all places, why not Germany? Why not France? Why not the UK? Why did Italy get clobbered with Wuhan 19? Now I think you have perhaps a little bit more, a better understanding of the process and what happened. Dave Milner in chat sent me a link to a story I'm going to go to after I come back from the break. And also after I come back from the break, I was going to talk about Biden. I guess we can do that. I've got some cuts from Biden. Yeah. We can do politics. We can do coronavirus. I've got a ton of politics stuff that's new, that doesn't even have anything to do with coronavirus. But when I come back, we're talking to Jack Alexander, and I want to continue to speak to him. I want to talk to you folks, and I want to talk to Jack about something what I consider to be very, very important that occurred today. At least it has to do with an organization. This is the first in a number of steps that need to be taken, as far as I'm concerned. So what was that step? And the other question is, God, I hope that President Trump means what he says. And then if I have time, I'm going to play you the press conference from yesterday where of all these fucktard media maggots on fire yesterday and hoisted each and every one of them on the very same petard of their own making. I'm BZ, the bloviating Zeppelin. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for appearing on the show. Thank you to Jack Alexander. I'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunetz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunetz.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of news and food and politics and sports and entertainment. Gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back. The first hour is done. It's gone. Thanks to everyone for coming back and listening to me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I told you I was going to tell you a story. And I've got Jack Alexander on the phone. And I've got Jeff Dunitz now on the phone. And I'd like to tell them both and you a little bit of a story. It's a success story, but it's also a little bit of BZ putting his money where his mouth is. And that's it. You may not know, and I've said this for quite some time. And first, Jack, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Jeff, I hear that you're on the phone now, so thank you for being here tonight.
We never miss you first so bad.
Thank you ever so kindly. I want to tell everybody a story, because I think this is a story of triumph. And this is a story of don't go nuts over Wuhan 19. And the story goes something like this. I've told you that this studio is an actual studio. It's in downtown Sacramento. When I say that we're 2 miles east of the Bill Mill, the belly of the beast, the Capitol at 10th and L Street, well, yeah, we are 2 miles east of the locus of evil in California. Literally, that's where the studio is located. But the studio is also a residence. So it's got a little kitchen, it's got a nice bathroom, it's got a nice bedroom, it's got an extra bedroom. This is the back of a house, in other words. So I actually have to drive here. This is not BZ's basement. Okay? So it doesn't work that way. But also, this happens to be where one of the owners of SHR lives, Sean. I asked Sean for permission to tell you this, and he said okay. One of the reasons that I couldn't be here for a while is that Sean got COVID-19. It appeared as though it was the flu. He got tested. The test came back negative. He discovered the test has roughly 25% false negatives. The flu didn't go away. He spoke to the doctors. He described his symptoms. The doctors all said, yeah, that's COVID-19 because of what he had. He also later discovered that the tests, at least of the batch that he took at the time, have a 25% to a 40% false negative. I can only hope that's changed. We'll find out in some fashion, perhaps a little later. That's a story for another day. But in the meantime, for the past 3 weeks, Sean has been here fighting the COVID-19. Sean is, let's just say Sean is younger than me. Let's say Sean is younger than me by at least 25 years. Not far from 30 years, but he's younger than me. Let's just leave it at that. And he's a busy guy. And he has a job. And he's got kids. And he couldn't go to his job. And he couldn't see his kids. And he had to stay here. In the meantime, I was speaking to him back and forth. And I would go out and get him supplies and groceries and food and whatnot. And leave them on the steps for him to come out and grab. So I felt obligated to take care of him. Sean is my bud. And I would think that that's just what friends do. But I knew he was going through a hell of a time. Because of one very salient reason. The unknown. The unknown is a mind killer. It's easy for everybody here, in retrospect, to say, you know, why couldn't we have just done X, Y, or Z in World War II and beaten our enemy here, here, and here? During the time in World War II, no matter where you were, the Japanese theater or the European theater or here in America, nothing was certain. We didn't know what was going to happen. People were thinking in America, the unknown. The unknown is the Japanese go island hopping, destroy Hawaii, and the first thing they target is mainland America. It's the unknown. And so that's what Sean faced. The unknown. That's what everybody is facing right now. The unknown. Maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, we'll be able to look back and go, one of two things. Maybe, oh my God, how idiotic were we to do X, Y, and Z? Or, boy, you know what? I'm really glad we did all of these things and we made it through. But right now, we don't know. There's so many unknowables. There are so many variables to what's going on. And I can't think of anything other than, that's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
It's the unknown. So Sean played with the unknown. And the unknown isn't a matter of, I'll just feel bad. The unknown was, this can kill me, and I'll never see my kids again. So Sean is better now. That's why I wanted to tell everybody, this can be fought. It doesn't kill everyone. It doesn't have to. We don't know, I submit, we don't know a fraction of what we need to know about this disease. But almost everything that we have heard to this date, as I said on Ken McClinton's show Monday night last night, is, you know what? All of this stinks. It reeks. There isn't one thing that doesn't stink on this. Like a newspaper full of dead fish on a hot dock on an August day. It stinks. It reeks. But Sean went through all of this. And he's better. And he's with his kids. And so, a lot of people were saying, mostly people on the right, I think, were saying, yeah, let's get on with life. And I was thinking that way too. Let's get on with life. Jack, just like you were telling me, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. I just showed the pictures to Sean last week. I went in for cancer surgery last week. You guys weren't around, so I had some divots taken out of my head. Why do you guys think I wear a hat all the time? I got divots. I got moon craters in my head. And I had some more last Wednesday. I went in for my little melanoma checkup. And my doctor, who's a sweetheart, said, good news or bad news? You don't want to hear that from a doctor that does epidemiology. I said, good news. She says, we're going to have to go digging. Okay, what's the bad news? Well, there is no bad news. The good news is I'm going to have to go digging, and I got a friend along with me, so her assistant came up, and while I was there, they went creating divots in my skull. And I showed the picture of that to Sean. So I'm still going through that stuff. I'm a cancer survivor. Everybody knows that I'm obese as hell. So if there's somebody that's, subject to all the things that make people susceptible to Wuhan 19, that would be me. So I decided I'm not going to live like a hermit crab in a little shell. I'm going to go back into the studio. And either I resume with life or this shit kills me. One of the two. Now, maybe this ends up being, yuck, yuck, BZ went back, there was no problem. Or it kills my ass. One of the two. So I'm putting my butt, I should say, where my mouth is. I'm trusting in medicine. And it may not look like much, but this could potentially be a life or death decision. I'm hoping it's not. But after having lived, I'm pushing 70, and after having lived as long as I have, I made a decision that I want to go back to things that were normal. That's what I know. That's what I understand. It makes sense to me. Aldous Huxley wrote a book, Brave New World, read it. Another British dude wrote 1984. Read it. We're living in these days right now. I just want a little semblance of my former life that changed 180 degrees. So, Sean beat this, kids. People beat this. People come in and they say, number one, males, this thing targets males. Okay, Sean, check. It targets males from 25 to 40. Check. And you could be a carrier, and you could have to go into a ventilator at the beginning. Sean had no idea where this is going. Check. Taking a step into the unknown, not knowing how this is going to end up. Check. Having to be in this little room right over here, next to me, for 3 weeks. Truly not knowing what's going to happen. Check. And then coming out okay on the other end. This doesn't have to kill you. And so I'm telling you tonight, I'll either be fine or it's going to kill me. And you'll know if I'm dead, because I'll tell you. I'll come back from the grave and haunt your ass. No, what'll happen is if I start getting this stuff before I go into the hospital, I'll let everybody know. And then you guys can come and collect all the gold out of my teeth. Yes, there is some gold in there. Just telling you. I'm here to harvest for you. I want to tell you one thing, though. Do not go for my liver. Because you don't want to, after so many years of vodka, folks, you don't want to see my liver. So I'm just saying tonight, I'm putting my butt where my mouth is. I want things to get back to normal. I missed doing this and talking to everybody terribly. And I figured if Sean can beat it and come out the other side, well, maybe I can too. Maybe it's a needless risk. Maybe I'm just a big-ass blowhard trying to make everybody think what a big guy I am for coming back into the studio. I don't know. I don't know which way this goes. This is the big unknown. But I've looked at the big unknown before, and I'm still here. I can't tell you how many shootings I've been in and killed somebody. I can't tell you that I've had cancer. I can't tell you all the crazy stuff that I've done. You know, if I cack tomorrow, I've had a crazy-ass life and enjoyed it 100%, and I've lived it the way I want to. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in this seat because I want to. Okay, end of me doing that. Jack Alexander and Jeff Thunitz, what I'd like to do is talk to you guys about how your experiences are. Jeff, you're in New York. Jack, you're in Australia. I want to talk to you guys about your experiences during CV-19 and how it's affected you. I bet, my guess is, and I have not spoken to either one of you before the show tonight, but my guess that you guys are both going to share a number of commonalities, and there are going to be also, I would wager, some dissimilarities. Jack, in Australia, how has the Wuhan 19 affected where you are in Australia?
Well, we've been on the self-quarantining lockdown thing for maybe a couple more weeks than you have. And when that started, I mean, you know, diarrhea apparently is an undisclosed symptom of Wuhan because there was a massive run on toilet paper, and there are still restrictions on toilet paper in Australia. There were still massive runs on rice, pasta, flour, stuff like that. There was a big run on the fresh meat section in our local supermarket, thinking that it was all going to stop because, you know, America was shutting down or this country was shutting down. And I could never work that out because Australia doesn't import, because of biosecurity reasons, meat protein from any other country. We don't have foot and mouth disease and so on. So I could never work out why certain things were having a run on. And it just didn't, so much of it didn't make a lot of sense. Plus then there was the little piece of information that came out that as of like August last year, Australia had stockpiled more than 38 million doses of chloroquine. The Australian government had stockpiled it. That's enough to have treated every man, woman, and child in Australia, but they weren't releasing it. And they didn't start releasing it until citizen journalists like myself and many others walked up to some of our members of the House of Representatives who, you know, quite often stand out in front of shopping malls and so on to get the pulse of the community. And I said, I picked up my phone and said, you know, Congressman, you know, I'd like to do an interview with you, and could you explain why the Australia has stockpiled so much of this drug, which in preliminary testing has shown to be successful, and it's, oh no, I can't talk about that. Within a week, he was then leading the charge for Australia to start prescribing chloroquine to the worst of cases. You know, so there was that side of it. But even now, I mean, I never thought I would see people out and about which could best be referred to as wall Martians. At my
wall Martians.
At my local grocery store, over the weekend, there was a guy wearing a full military surplus NBC suit. You know, the double-layered charcoal suit, the respirator. He had the gloves taped up with duct tape, the booties on, the whole thing. And what was he buying? A carton of cigarettes.
Of course. I was hoping that at least you'd say something similar to, a carton of cigarettes and some vaping devices and some vodka, because you got to throw some potato water in the first place. So,
well, the funny thing with alcohol here is, I was in a liquor store yesterday trying to track down my favorite moonshine, Old Smoky, out of Pigeon Forge in Tennessee. And I've gone into a liquor store only to find out that most of the heavier hard liquors, anything above the 50% mark, the government has whacked on a tax quite quietly to stop people buying it to make hand sanitizer. So the only hard liquor you can get at the moment is 80 proof, because that isn't strong enough to kill anything. Where
Jesus.
your heavier vodka, your Russian vodkas and so on, which is up around the 100 proof mark, anything over 100 proof, you can't buy for love nor money unless you are willing to pay a shit ton of money. My moonshine has gone from being $35 a bottle here in Australia to almost $80 a bottle for a 1/5 size standard bottle. Why? Because people are making hand sanitizer out of it, and the government wants a bigger cut.
Okay, so I want to come back to you in just a second because I want to talk to Jeff here. But I want to come back to you in just a second. I want to ask you about Scott Morrison, who is the PM of Australia, the Prime Minister of Australia. And when you said hydroxychloroquine, I want to talk to you about him and the hydroxy when we come back, because, boy, that opened a door that I want to walk through. So Jeff Dunitz, folks, has a great blog at lidblog.com. I say this every time he's on the air because you need to go there, lidblog.com. L-I-D, blog, B-L-O-G.com. Jeff posts a minimum of 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times a day. It's an active-ass blog. And if you want great conservative commentary and want to find out what's happening in the planet, lidblog.com. Jeff Dunitz is on the line.
Now, let me tell you why it's been wonderful to be Jewish the last couple of weeks. Because this toilet paper shortage here in New York, right? But since last week, I've been eating nothing but matzah. Okay, that's like a cork up your butt. I don't need toilet paper. I can't use any.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that was that was insightful, folks.
I think, you wanted to know about what we have like, but but other than that, it's on the high risk category, and that doesn't worry me at all. She's had some heart work. But the thing is that, like, she's overboard. Like, we can't order pizza because she doesn't know who touched it. So it's been weird. One thing that isn't weird is being stuck in the house all day because I work out of the house.
Well, for you, that's an understandable thing. When you go to immediately, what do you think not New York City, but you're in the state of New York?
Yeah, but I'm in Suffolk County, which that's New York City is the biggest area of New York with the virus.
Okay. What would be a couple of the biggest things that have affected you post Wuhan 19?
Not everybody makes it. And I had an aunt that passed away with it. And my son's best friend growing up, his mother, who, it was every weekend they were either at my house and, he was over there. And it kind of put, things in perspective. But today, I mean, look how little things change everything. One of our closest friends' daughter gave birth to a little girl. And that kind of makes things wonderful, you know what I mean?
Well, this is what you're saying then. I'm sorry to hear of those things, but this stuff isn't just speculative. And I said this from the beginning, and I'll continue to say it. I'm not denigrating the virus. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I am saying that we need to understand and deal with this in a rational and understanding a fashion as we can, simultaneously having to deal with the politics of it all, which are maddening. And all of those...
Well, the media politics has been totally maddening, because I've been doing a lot of writing. They're a-holes. There's no other way to describe it. People, between Acosta, that girl from CBS who keeps yelling at the president.
Yeah.
If you look at this and go, don't you have any respect for the office? Forget the man. You don't like him, don't vote for him. But he's the president. Have a little respect for the presidency.
Folks, we're gonna have to take a break. It's the bottom of the hour. This will be a great time for you guys to pop some popcorn or go to the Electric Winkle Chamber or something like that. Jeff, during the break, maybe you can go to some place where you have a different cell area or a different phone area, and we can hear a bit clearer. This is the final. This is going to be the final 25 minutes of BZ's. I will be back. There will be a programming note. There will be no chat show for quite some time, I would guess. Occupied doing a lot of very important things in his life and on his job. And so I will be back Thursday night. I will continue to do this Tuesday and Thursday night, just like regular, right here in the studio. And I will be posting the show if you don't happen to hear it live, or you don't happen to hear it, listen to it live, or the show, so that you can listen and understand what's going on. I'm simultaneously tonight speaking to Jack Alexander, who is in the northeastern United States, in the state of New York, and we will be right back after this. Don't go away. Or go away, go feed the fish or something like that, but come right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the...
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's ED. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Shannon Wright. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast. As I take a unique I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available where else can be found like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the PM East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can...
Featuring the effervescent contrarian, sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific. We have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty voided Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for supporting me here tonight. Thanks for listening to me live. Thanks for watching the show live on the SHR Media YouTube channel and the SHR Media Facebook page, and also Twitch. I gotta figure out what Twitch is. Twitch. I don't know. I hear that word and I keep thinking of cranker. And also thanks for listening on the SHR, on Spreaker, I should say, on SHR.com. If you want to be in chat from now or forever, the only official chat room exists at shrmedia.com. And when you go to that page, shrmedia.com, you'll see a little button there that says live and live chat. Click on that button, you'll go right to the chat page. It's a great page, lots of great people there. It says it's labeled SHR Media. Somebody was laughing that it's a great page, that it said there's a lot of great people there. I think there's a lot of great people there. I just happen to be saying that. So thanks for being here tonight.
Lots of great people plus me.
Lots of great people plus Jeff Dunitz and Jack Alexander. Now I want to tell you this today. This was grand, and then I want to get the two of you to weigh in, if I could, please. Something occurred today during the briefing. I don't think I'm going to get to Monday's briefing, but I am definitely going to get to Monday's briefing. It'll probably have to be on Thursday. Trump did something very important today. Trump halted the funding to the World Health Organization. He was kind of hinting around at that. And he criticized basically the groups, their pandemic response. And the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros, happens to be in the pocket of the Chinese. It was the pocket of the Chinese that he was holding on to when they got him elected in 2017. The U.S., as per normal, contributes the bulk of the cash to the World Health Organization, and now we're discovering it's nothing more than another propagandist organ of the Chinese communists. Well, we contribute more than any other country to the World Health Organization, close to $500 million a year. So it's got a $4.8 billion annual budget. And so if my thought was, and apparently President Trump's was also, is that, you know what? If you want to be an organ of propaganda from the Chinese communists, then we're not funding Chinese communist propaganda. Let the Chinese fund it. Because the other thing that you don't understand, that you haven't heard, is that because Taiwan wants to separate from mainland China, yes, they're a little island, but they're still the Taiwan-China kerfuffle back and forth, the World Health Organization. Please note the operative word in that, the World Health Organization, not the when we fucking think about it organization, not the if you agree with us totally health organization. Because of communist Chinese influence, Tedros decided that he was not going to allow the WHO to assist Taiwan in any way, aiding and abetting Chinese communists. So now, Trump said, with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have deep concerns whether America's generosity has been put to the best use possible. And his decision was, nope, not anymore. I, for one, congratulate that. We need more decisions like that, not fewer. Jeff Dunnis, what do you think?
Tedros is an animal, okay? He's a former, he led a horrible Marxist terrorist group, okay? He was that's why he got along with China, because they were his, one commie loves another one. He's not a doctor, so he doesn't know what's going on, okay? He wanted to appoint Mugabe. Remember Mugabe?
Oh, yeah. Wonderful guy.
Wonderful guy. He wanted to appoint Mugabe as a goodwill ambassador for the WHO.
You can't write this. You can't write this shit.
This is not right. Sometimes things write themselves. Okay? And yes, China paid for him to get the position. They bribed people for him to get the position. And, this morning we learned that one of the people in the World Health Organization, when she first heard about the virus, said, well, this got to be able to skip from human to human. And they kept it quiet, even though they knew that this virus had to be able to skip from human to human. Okay, so it's like the Democratic Party. It has no purpose in life. Okay.
Oh, it has a purpose. It has a purpose. The purpose is to reduce the population and build their socialist utopia. They've just found the ideal mechanism for it now.
Well, true. Absolutely. And, the global warming freaks, they like that, too, because you kill off people. People don't breathe and create methane.
Hypocrisy, thy name is also China, because we recently discovered China now sits on the Human Rights Council. You know, the human rights that ended up killing the Chinese doctor that revealed the origin of Wuhan 19 and where it came from? Those human rights? That's another
that shouldn't surprise you. Iran's been on that council.
Sure they have. And why shouldn't they be?
Been on that council.
Why shouldn't they?
And they have a standing rule. Every time they meet, they have to talk about Israel. I'm not joking. It's a standing rule. So if they talk about something else, for 5 hours, they have to spend another hour talking about Israel. That's the Human Rights Council.
Dave just typed in chat, yeah, just like that, the History Channel documentary, Life After People. I was going to write in there, oh, you mean the documentary that the Democrats want called Life After Conservatives?
Yeah, exactly.
So the World Health Organization being cut off by the United States. Well, let me ask this, because we got 15 minutes left. And I may as well throw it out there because all of this really does get down to politics. We know now, you and I, Jack, Jeff, everybody listening that is a conservative, and I really don't get too many people listening that aren't conservatives, which is okay with me because I've had it with trolls. I don't give out my email address anymore because I saw how that went with all the F and S words that were sent to me in emails. But having said that, now that Trump is encountering this kerfuffle, what do you guys think is in the cards for November? Because it is going to be Biden. And what's in the cards with, maybe I should rephrase, what's in the cards for the DNC versus Trump in November? Jack, what do you think?
I think the DNC are going to be lambs taken to the slaughter. I honestly think that the Democrats have really shown their colors to the American people. I mean, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Their pure hatred for the president has really come to the fore, and the more they try and browbeat him over this, the more the president has shown that he has been on top of this while dealing with the impeachment fiasco and everything else. He was just quietly working in the background and just... The president has been... One thing I've noticed about President Trump is he is a rope merchant. He loves handing out all the free rope that these liberals, are willing to take, and they tie the nooses around their own necks, and come November, they will kick their own stools out from under their own feet.
I had a buddy who had a three-legged dog, and this is a meme in itself many years ago, but I actually had a buddy in college who had a three-legged dog whose name was Tripod. And the dog got around fairly well. Now in chat, Dave Milner is saying that, I still say Biden is not going to make it to the debates. And so I asked Dave, okay, well then, who do you think steps in? Cuomo, Obama, Clinton? So I'll start with
Hillary.
you. I'll start. Yeah, I know who you're for. I'll come back to you, Jack. Jeff Dunitz, prognosticating November, Biden versus Trump. Who wins? Question subpart A of that question is, if not Biden, then how, then whom?
It's Biden.
Okay, you don't think that they'll pull whatever it is that they can during the convention. They will stick with Biden.
They will stick with Biden. Got the delegates. It's over.
Okay.
That's it. And they're nominating the person who blurted out that it was SEAL Team 6 that got Bin Laden of their next mission. 6 of them died thanks to him. Okay, that's who they're nominating. If he remembers. That's the other thing. I really believe he has the beginning of dementia.
Oh, I'm convinced.
And that's not...
I am
however,
without a doubt convinced.
Okay, second quarter is going to suck in terms of the economy. Third quarter is going to be crappy. Okay, what we need to happen is by the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter, the economy has to seem like it's coming back. It doesn't have to come all the way back. It has to feel like it's coming all the way back. Okay, because then Trump continues to be the president who fixed the economy. Okay? I just, if you asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said Biden's done. Okay. But everyone else dropped out. I mean, all of a sudden. And the sixth thing is that, who got everyone else to drop out, right? Barack. His good friend Barack, who endorsed him today.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that you have Barack and Bernie endorse him within 24 hours. It's going to be a good platform for the Jews.
Yeah, right. Biden is weekend at Bernie's writ large. So let me ask you a final question, Jeff Dunitz, and I want to go back to Jack. So Jeff Dunitz, you can find his stuff at lidblog.com. Jeff Dunitz, if Biden does make it, then it becomes to me an if-then equation. If Biden makes it, then his VP becomes critical because the possibility exists he might not make it in however you interpret that. He might not make it the full 4 years. So if not Biden, then in your opinion, who would the DNC be looking at as a VP to step in from the wings and take his place? Jeff Dunitz.
Well, here's the problem. He promised that it would be a girl.
Yes.
And he can't break that promise. So, I would imagine that the party establishment would want that senator from Minnesota. Okay? Because she is actually the more moderate of the candidates. Whatever it is.
You talking about Klobuchar?
But, yeah. However, the Bernie pressure, the Bernie groups, you want me, you got to have a radical progressive. So
yeah, she's not hard enough.
Stuck. She's not right. Exactly. So who do you get? Really, the most progressive you have is Pocahontas.
Yeah, but she wasn't playing. She's how I quantify Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is as lovable as an eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Pocahontas is not that far away. She's rather dismissive, haughty, etc. Throw out all the adjectives I possibly can. Jack Alexander, I know for a fact that you have embraced Hillary. You've long embraced the Hillary steps up and in from the wings portion. So, Jack, how do you envision Biden with regard to Hillary? First, Jack Alexander of Jack Alexander Experiment. Go to jackalexanderexperiment.com to find his shows. Jack, does she get appointed vice president, or do they simply at the convention kick Biden aside and allow Clinton to shuffle in from the side? Do they embrace Clinton at the convention? Is that how it goes?
Look, I still think they're going to embrace Hillary Clinton in some way, shape, or form. Mind you, if they put Hillary up as Joe Biden's VP nomination, and God forbid he wins the election, he won't live long enough to be sworn in as president. Let's face it. He will suicide magically with 6 shots to the back of the head or something. That or a mysterious heart attack or whatever. But I honestly think that given his constant gaffes, the Democrats are coming. A lot of Democrats are coming to the realization that he is going to sabotage the party itself just every time he opens his mouth. I mean, Barack Obama had one saving grace. When he had a teleprompter, he was a brilliant orator. Joe Biden, even with a teleprompter,
oh God,
in large print, cannot stick to the script and converse in a coherent manner. Even someone with dyslexia like me is having a hard time understanding what the hell Joe Biden is saying. Although I am,
let me tell you how you'll know
the sale of AR-14s.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Let me tell you how you know that the party's giving up on them. Okay, if they start moving money from the presidential because they really want the Senate.
Okay, Jeff, you cut out. You cut out there for a second. You said if they start to move money from where?
From the presidential campaign to the Senate campaign.
Okay.
Because they want to win the Senate. And just think about it, if they had the Senate, they would have been able to impeach Trump.
Okay.
So they really want the Senate. So if you see money move, then they've given up on Uncle Joe, and they put all their money in the Senate.
That's an excellent point. That's a really good point.
And as far as Joe Biden picking a female candidate, I mean, there's always Pete Buttigieg. I mean, let's face it, gay man, woman, feminine. I mean, he'll certainly get the LGBT vote.
That brings up a really good question.
And really,
go ahead, Jeff.
If he picks a woman, would she want to be in a room alone with him? I mean, it's creepy Uncle Joe.
Somebody said today, Greg Gutfeld on the 5. And it's just, I don't know why I listen to the 5. Okay, I know why I listen to the 5. I watch the 5 because of Greg Gutfeld. I certainly don't watch it because of Juan Williams. What an abject whiner, 49er. But anyway, having said that, Gutfeld today said that Biden is particularly depressed because he can't campaign in the open and he can't grab women anymore. So these are not good times for Joe Biden. And that's one of the reasons that it's affecting him so profoundly. But it's funny that...
And there's also the possibility that after the convention, if they do install Joe, that at least the conservative media and the independent media like us and so on will start really putting a lot of pressure on Democrats to explain why rape allegations against Joe Biden are getting brushed aside when, we heard just a few, less than a year or a little over a year ago, that all women must be believed when it comes to sexual assault allegations by, men in particular. I mean, Brett Kavanaugh thing, the hypocrisy and all of that. Now, I don't know whether the allegations against Joe Biden are valid or not, but there's certainly more video evidence in the open domain of Joe Biden sexually assaulting, and I'm going to say sexually, if it's making them uncomfortable and they're pulling away like so many of these women are doing, and he still pulls them back in, that's sexual assault. And there is video upon
not
video
the women,
upon
the little
video.
girls.
Oh, yeah, little girls, exactly.
Yeah. Little girls, women. He's an equal opportunity sexual harasser to anyone of the female persuasion, and he's going to have to answer for that, assuming he can remember what day of the week it is.
Okay, so I think bottom line for right now, because I got about 3 more minutes before the end of the show. Bottom line for Jack and Jeff right now. At this point, and I'll continue to ask the two of you this question as we progress through the days and the weeks and the months of this show running up to November, because everything could change. If there's one thing that we know about this world right now is that it can change in a moment. But for now, today, the way we see things, prognosticating for November, as Biden sits, as we sit, as Trump sits, can Trump pull it out and get a second term in November? Jeff?
Yes, I hope so. I mean, it depends on a lot of things, okay? Like I said, it depends on how the economy picks up.
Okay. Jack?
Look, I think not only will he get a second term, I think he will get control of the House of Reps and a larger majority in the Senate. I think that's a certainty in all of this.
Okay. There's a guy, God, his name escapes me, on Facebook. He's a black conservative. And he said that he believes in November the Electoral College will come out even larger, in greater numbers, for President Trump. And he believes that President Trump will acquire a greater number of actual votes. But there are so many variables in the mix. The Democrats...
I think that was Kevin Jackson.
Might have been Kevin Jackson. There's another guy that I talked to that I like to have on the show. I can't think of his name right now. No, I haven't had him on the show, but I've contacted him to be on the show. Really great guy and conservative. And I'm going to have him on the show in the future. But he thinks Trump is going to walk away with the electoral, and he's going to walk away with a much greater percentile of the popular vote as well. Despite not despite. Now we're discovering that it turns out maybe 800,000 votes for Hillary shouldn't have been there for Hillary. I'm going to have to wrap up the show. Jeff Dunitz, tell people, you'll be back again, of course. Jeff Dunitz, tell people where your stuff can be found on the internet and any social media you wish to mention.
Lidblog.com and back on the radio soon.
Excellent. We can't wait. Jack Alexander, where is your show, and in social media, where can you be found, and websites, please?
On the socials, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube. Jack Alexander Experiment is the pages there. That's where you'll find all my videos. I have the Jack Alexander Experiment .com. On Twitter, it's at Experiment Jack, and the same on Instagram as well.
Jack Alexander, thank you very much. Jeff Dunitz, thank you very much. I appreciate the both of you more than you will know, more than certainly I did 2 or 3 months ago. It's a ride. It's a roller coaster. Who knows where things will go with me? Who knows where things will go with you? Who knows where things will go with this country? Gentlemen, thank you ever so kindly.
You know what? No sickness can take away your friends.
That's true, too. That is very true. Thank you, gentlemen. You'll be back.
And happy Passover, too, Jeff.
Thank you, Jack.
You gentlemen, thank you ever so kindly, and I gotta go.
Take care, man.
Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP, and on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Shure and Electro Voice microphones, Arrakis boards, and Pratt & Whitney engines. Thrust. You can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Of course, this is still true. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than an hour. Bank on it. Take that to the bank. And thanks to you ever so kindly for listening live. Thanks to Jack Alexander. Thanks to Jeff Dunitz. Thank you for being in chat, everybody. Thanks for listening in the podcast. I get a ton of hits in podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy day or night to listen live and to do so. Going to have some great guests coming up in the future. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Alaskan. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, one viewer in chat. Everybody, I'll be back Thursday night. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.